we pulled in the last count date that was in Sphere. So it should be based on what was in there, what was counted last in Sphere. And so I believe that was the plan, to make sure production was up to date, was that the last count date was pulled out of Sphere. So that way those different groupings are kind of based on how you guys did the counts in Sphere. So initially, Greg, to answer your question, it could potentially be different. You know, we might have to work through a process or work through with you guys on the best way to handle that. But it may be a little bit more difficult at first just to get everything working, and then once you guys kind of get everything working, it should be smoother after the fact. But we'll just have to look at how that data was uploaded and if there's going to be a large pull at any time or not. So on a daily basis, and this is one of the things I'll have to get with David to fix and add a new dashboard for you guys. It's more accurate based on the current process. So this is the Star Center. This is one piece I didn't get to show because we kind of switched around during the beginning. On a daily basis, this is where I would really come to and where I would go to on a day-to-day basis. If I ever needed to look at anything, I would come to my Start Center. You guys are inventory control folks, so you'd be able to come in and select the inventory control Start Center. I have access to a bunch of different ones, but you guys should have access to the ones that are obviously useful for you and your user groups. There's one for backorder details, which kind of goes over anything on backorder. This is where we'll have to update these so that they're more accurate, but right now this is set at inventory not counted in 90 days. What it'll actually be is, you know, inventory due to be counted, so that way it's kind of leveraging those frequencies and the ABC analysis that's occurring, instead of just saying anything is within 90 days like it is in this situation. What can be done with any one of these lists is that they can actually be kind of leveraged and used. So if you say you want to download it, you're able to come in and download this list. Also, this is where, in any one of your situations, or you know, if anyone needs to download this into, say, an Excel document, you're able to come in and click download here. They can actually download these and leverage them outside of Maximo. So at any point in time, if we need to show information, it's on a different screen for me, and I'll just pull it over. This can be quickly opened up and leveraged in a separate document. So a quick fix for some of you guys' issues may be for us to create the Start Center, so that way you guys have the availability to export, and so don't the inventory folks, and so it can kind of be a common dashboard that you guys both leverage if needed, so that way what changes are occurring can all be communicated electronically also. So that's one nice thing about these Start Centers, is that any one of these can be downloaded, leveraged outside of Maximo. Then you can also kind of go through and search through the list just like you normally would. If you want to open this result set in the actual application itself, what you can do is click the button here. Sorry about that, I went quick. Let me go back so I can show you guys again. There's a button here, and again, if you hover over any one of these, it'll show you like a quick help, so you can kind of know what this button means. And so just a tip, if you guys are ever confused or don't know what button to click, just hover over it. It'll let you know what button is and how to leverage it. So if you guys are in this, you know, what we will update so that it is correct. What you can do is select this open result set and application on a daily basis, and it'll pull up a list that you need to count. If you're in a specific storeroom again, you probably want to search for your storeroom. So that way it cuts down the list to only the ones that you need to count. And then from there, what I would do is I would go to my physical count application. So now I have a list of 195 parts that are going to show up. I have a few options here. You know, I'm able to export this or export from that Smart Center if I need to. So that way I have the data and I can, work in Excel if I need to, but I can also open up my inventory adjustments, click on physical count. It's going to always display this message to let you know that you're about to pull in 195 records into the transaction. So it's just kind of giving you a warning that this transaction, if you update 195 records, it could take some time to process. And so this is where I mentioned just being patient and allowing the system to process. If you're noticing it taking some time, it's updating 195 records in the system. So it just takes some time once in a while if you guys are doing some larger transactions. So if you ever see this pop up, it's just kind of giving you a warning, letting you know. If you don't want to do it at that time for whatever reason, feel free to click cancel. If you do want to move forward with it, just click OK. Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're cutting in and out a little bit. I think the question was, if you export it to Excel, how do you get it back into Maximo? Yeah. So once you're here in this physical count, you kind of have a few different places that if you want to export this into more of like a paper copy or more of a workable copy outside of Maximo, then you're more than welcome to do it in probably a few different ways. So one thing is here, once I'm in this physical count adjustment screen, I can click this download button. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to download and it'll open up in my Excel off into the side, so that way I can see all of these items that need to be counted. And so that way I can, so this way I can kind of have an Excel version. Obviously this one is going to be deleted, so this column won't be here for you guys. But this will be available to you in Excel, and you can come in and leverage and do anything that you need after you enable editing. If you want to come in and do counts or just kind of know exactly what needs to be counted here. There's also a report, and the one thing is I don't think the report is accurate, so you guys won't be able to leverage that yet, but we'll look into getting something for you guys. But I would say for now, the best way for you to get that information, if you want it outside of Maximo, is to click this download button here. So the process would be to open up physical count. Okay. And then download it. That'll get you that information outside of Maximo into an Excel doc. You guys can do as you need with it. Keep in mind that you will have to re-enter that back in here because this will be the kind of final information that gets counted inside of Maximo. So the information finalized will always need to be put kind of back here in this situation.
Once you've updated the Maximo, the physical count, I noticed when I export it still shows. So will it not show once you export?
On the list? Is that what you're saying? It will still show, yes. So, we have 205 listings here. If I export it and click cancel, they'll still show up here in the list. So until I enter in that final balance, so if I come in and I actually do my physical count, and I go ahead and I update all of these balances, and they get populated with this new count date, that's when it'll get taken out of the list. Once that kind of official count has been applied, it'll get removed. And then, the actual available balance will get updated after the review and kind of finalization process that occurs after the fact, and then the reconciliation will update update that available balance. But for your guys' situation, it'll still show up in the list until you've actually entered in this final account here and clicked OK. Does that make sense? Okay. Feel free, any other questions, just feel free to stop me and ask me again if I haven't answered anything correctly, or if anybody has any follow-on questions. Feel free. I want to make sure you guys are all understanding the process. So once I'm here, again, I can export this, have this list in Excel. I can print it from Excel, so that way I have a printed copy if I like that. It's really your guys' preference. What will need to happen is after that's done and the accounts are finished, it's going to need to be entered back into Maximo officially. And so that's where you guys are going to want to come in, and based on the day that you want those counts to be applied. And so if you run your counts every Monday and you want to apply and say the final counts should be applied by Friday, then at any point during the week you can make those counts and you can apply the date that you want to be applied there. As I go through, I can come in. Obviously, this physical count field isn't going to be here, so you guys are just going to be entering in values as you count them. We'll work on getting that removed, but I'm able to come in and just update as I need. I'll only do a few of these. So you guys are able to come in and update as you need to. If you guys don't want any of these on the count, you're able to mark them for delete. And so if you don't want to include any of these into the count, you can mark any of these as delete as you want to. Doing that, all you do is click delete, and it'll mark the record. So if it has a balance on hand, it's going to want you to count it. So those ones will be counted if you put a value in here. Once you're done entering in the values, then you just click the OK button. It's going to apply the value to all of these. Click close. You can see that it changed the value for I think I updated like 5 or 6 parts. And so it took it down from 195 to 188. So I'm able to go in, and you guys can update these in chunks. So as you count them, if you want to update them chunk by chunk, that is something you guys are able to do. So I think that was the question on how you would handle kind of taking the larger list and counting it down smaller pieces. So you would come in, run the search as you normally would, and then hit the inventory adjustments, physical count. It's going to give you this warning again. I'm going to go in and I'm going to update these values as I count them, or the ones that I have counted, and you can update as many as you want or as few as you want. Go right ahead. Can you say that again, please? How are you guys counting those rotating assets or those serialized parts right now?
Yes.
I see William asked the same type of question about the serial tracked assets. I'll have to verify. But I don't believe that you're going to be able to find those rotating assets in this list. Due to the fact that they are being controlled through an asset number. Does something you guys count and verify how many of those are actually in the system? Just so I can understand if that's something you guys need to do. I will follow up on the rotating asset or the serialized asset counts, so that way we can clarify. I'm not sure if David's not here, so I'll follow up with David on that one to talk about how serialized assets are counted. But is that something you guys typically would count those and verify those with the inventory folks also?
Yes, we count serial track, and then just in case the current balance showing 6, but they only have 5. How would we handle that when they serialize and they're missing 1?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll send a follow-up for you guys on how that one functions and how specifically they want you to handle those. Any other questions before we kind of keep going through this for the next time? Okay. So I think it's just going to be important for you guys to use the select date. If you want everything in a week to be, say it's kind of final count on the same day, you just kind of want to come in and make sure that you keep selecting the same day. So if you want the finalized counts to be done on a Friday, you probably just want to keep coming in and selecting Friday as you go in and apply or add new counts. So that way the last count date is all in the single group. That you guys don't have these like fluctuating count dates that occur. And that'll help keep the consistency in the system so that you guys are having consistent counts come up every week. Especially if you're running, say, on a Monday, you guys run and see what parts you guys need. I'm assuming that it would be supposed to be done by a Friday. Is that accurate in saying something like that? Or do you guys have a larger window? Sometimes they count on a weekly basis?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where, so just for consistency, you guys can leave it as is, or you guys can kind of change it. I would say for consistency, it would be best to change it, make it all on the same day, so that way you guys can continue to do that. And then throughout the week, you can update as many of these as you need, so you can pull this up, and like I said, you can export to Excel, you can work in Excel if that's what you feel more comfortable with. There's nothing wrong with that. You can print it. I'll let you use your preference there. I think the goal in the end would be to come back in Maximo, and then would be to update as many of these as necessary. And they don't have to be all on the same page. I can go to a second page. I can update one on another page if I need to. And I can go through and I can really update as necessary. We also have the ability to filter, so that if you guys do want to say switch around and move around, you guys can search by items or by bins. And so you can really come in here and do whatever you need. So that way, you want to filter first, but you can filter if you guys have a method of how you want to cut this down. You want to filter first and then enter the values, and then you can kind of use a filtered list if necessary. And I did that just by clicking this filter button here. I'll kind of go through this another time just so you guys have another whole process, but what I would do is I would finish my account, I would click OK, would apply that account to the list, and that's where that verification process would occur. You guys would, we would have a start center or report that could get, communicated over to the warehouse folks so that they can go in and verify these numbers and make sure that they're accurate. And then the finalization process would occur. After they verify, you guys would go and reconcile those balances so that way all the available balances in the system are accurate based on what's currently there. So printing it, what I would say is once you export that list, you have an Excel version. You can really print this and do however you need with it once it's in Excel. So I would recommend getting it in Excel and then printing it, as that would give you the ability to do that. And then you guys would have the accurate list from the system. Right now there isn't a great report because the reports in the system I don't believe function as we want them to. So I just have to verify if the out-of-the-box report works as we would expect it to. But I would say using the available query of physical count due, and then whether you export from this list view here or open up the physical count itself and export from this list here, either option would give you the ability to have an Excel version that you can then print. See Pablo's comment about 48 hours to reverse the discrepancy. And so is that a threshold that you guys set, that they have 48 hours to communicate back to you guys? Is that kind of what the concept is there? Just so I'm familiar. Okay. Can we sort by bin? Of course. So I don't know you guys' bins as well as you probably do. So I'll just search for anything that has an A dash in it, so that way I can see anything starting with an A. And it'll cut down how many bins that are available. And so you guys can certainly cut down this list by bin. And only see certain bins that you want to search by or count by. And so if that's the case and you guys are counting by bins, then you can certainly filter by bin and then export that list. And then that's a method that you can cut down what would be a larger list to see the smaller list, and then only have a section of them to count here. You can print from Excel. So just to answer Nicholas's question. So
I think you would have to click bid at the top, right?
yes, so let me show you that one more time. So I went to inventory adjustments, physical count, clicked OK. I see this filter button right here, and I clicked the filter button, and then that gave me the ability to enter in here. I don't know why Maximo out of the box doesn't just display that for you, but you can just select that, and then from there you can enter in any bin that you want. And same thing with if you only want a specific storeroom, you're able to do that too. As I did not filter that in the list view, so if you wanted to do that here, you could also cut down how many storerooms were available for you. So these are freely open for you to search in as many or as few as you need to. And then from there you just click export or download. It'll download that list for you.
What I'm asking is like alphabetically order the bin numbers, A, T.
To alphabetically order them. Okay, yeah, 1 second. So you can click on the top. You can see how it kind of gives me this arrow. So this was what would, I guess, be ascending. It'll do it by the first letter. And then if you want to do it, say, descending, you do click it again, and you can see that downwards arrow here. And so that will just automatically filter by the bin or sort by the bin. If you click it a third time, it'll remove it, and you can see the arrow is gone. So that's one way you can come in and quickly filter. And then use that filter if you want to export. Obviously you can do that. And then naturally, if you all know Excel, then you can naturally filter in Excel also. But definitely if you want to filter prior to exporting or just filtering in the list in general, you can certainly use that functionality.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this right, you ran, this is what we're gonna count, right? This is the list we're gonna count for the week.
Correct.
Okay. And it includes the same dark stock numbers at different stores.
Correct, but you can filter down the list because I know most of you folks count per storeroom.
Right.
So my recommendation is when you come in, the storeroom that you're counting, you want to filter the list by. So that way you only see the ones that you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there you can go to physical count and then only pull up the parts that you really need to focus on because the rest of them are just going to clutter your list. And so from there, you can see that I have the 12 different inventory items, and then some of them have multiple bins, so it actually gave me 14 records to count. And then from there, I can do as I please with that information. I can count it here at that time, or I can export it and then come back and I can do the same filter again to pull up the list exactly as I did. Make sense, Elizabeth? Can I answer your question?
So the list that we were counting this week will be a total of 30 something if you cancel that out.
Yes. So if I remove, and this is just test data that I've set up, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if we were actually counting.
Yeah, so if you were to come in, on a daily basis, I would see probably a list of everything, 35 items, and then I would say, okay, well maybe it's not Pioneer. I'm not even sure the name of this store. You guys probably know. But say I'm in 0710 and I want to count just items in there. I could come in and just enter in the filter 0710, get just these items, and I can focus on these. Any other questions? We have another minute or two. I can show you guys the process again because I don't think it hurts to see it another time. And just to kind of see and make sure that we go through the Start Center section again. So I'll get with David and update this so that it's accurate and showing up correctly. But what I would do on a day-to-day basis, I would come in and I would come to my Start Center and I would see my Start Center. I would open it up into a list view if I was about to actually do the counts. I could export it directly from here if I wanted to. You can filter down from this. So if you wanted to filter down the list right here in the Start Center, you could filter it down, and then you could export it. So that way you had that list available to you. If you wanted to open it in the application, that list. So open it up here, and you have a copy of it. If you wanted to, say, open it in that application, so you could actually use the physical count screen itself, I would click the Open an Application button. I would see my list here. I could go to Physical Adjustments, select Physical Count. Just note that it didn't bring over the filter, so it brought everything in. I'll filter it down in the list, but you can kind of navigate from there. And just to show, I can filter down from this list view, or 110. Looks like nothing came up. Let's just do 710. And then you can also, if you want to, sort by bin. That way you have every bin in an order that is kind of useful. And then from there you can either enter in your count or export to a list view if you want to have this in a printable version or even just a version that you can update outside of Maximo. From there you come in and you'll update these counts as you need. So if you only want to update 5 items, it's for that day, or say you counted, on a daily basis, depending on, I'm sure, how many you can count in a day. You guys are probably counting, 30, 40 parts in a day, depending. I'm not sure, I've done some inventory counts. I know takes some time to get done. And so based on, I'm sure, the day and how many you're counting and what the items are, it probably depends on what type of situation or how many you're counting. And so from there, you can really come in and enter in however many items that you counted in that day. If you do it on a daily basis, you could do it on a bi-daily basis. If you come in every couple of days, it really just depends on what your guys' current process is and how often you want to update this list. But you could just come down and really update as many of these as you need. Click OK. Well, you want to apply a date first. My apologies. You want to apply that Friday date. Make sure everything has that same date. Then click OK. That'll update those recount or update the physical count, and that'll kind of remove those from this list. So that way you guys can continue working through the list.
Another question.
Yes.
So, we have 3 people that cycle count. So,
Yeah.
each of everybody who can view this, physical count. So everybody will have the same 435 items that need to be counted. Everybody will be displayed the same items, right?
Correct. Same list on everybody, and then to not step on each other's toes, you'll want to obviously filter. Make sure you're counting maybe a unique list that they're not. I'm not sure you guys how you normally separate that, but as they get counted, they'll get removed from the list, and so it's not like any of you will count it twice, because once it gets counted once, then it'll get taken out of the list, and it won't be visible the next time you refresh the list. So even though you'll work on one list, it'll kind of be interactive, and say 2 of you are working on separate laptops, you could both come in and enter in physical count transactions, as long as it wasn't on the same part or same item.
And it would be separated out by location anyway, so it wouldn't be the same.
So you guys can all 3 work at the exact same time, counting and kind of working in your own sections of the application. And doing the counts, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we can count the same part, but in different warehouses, correct?
Correct, yes, because each one of these has a unique record for each warehouse, that you could definitely be counting the same exact item in different warehouses. Correct. And each warehouse for each item could have multiple bins also, so you could count multiple bins per item per warehouse to make it a little bit more for you guys. So definitely can be counting the same thing.
So what happens when, we find a discrepancy, we're too short, and then, we put the due number, but then we have to come back and, the warehouse found them. So what do? Just go back and update with the correct count for, or switch it back to what it was at one point?
Correct. I assume that's not a situation that happens at large. Is that typically a lot of items that you guys have to go back and update again, or is it?
Yeah, a few.
Maybe a few.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to. So there'll be a list for anything that is in a discrepancy, and so that's one of the start center things that I'll work on with David. So right now you have this balances to be reconciled. And so this list is going to be everything that you guys have counted that hasn't been finalized. And so you can come back in and, if you guys have specific part numbers that you're searching for, I'm just going to grab one of these just to pull it up. But you'll be able to come into this item and then redo the physical inventory transaction, more or less is what will happen. So you can come in, you can do physical count. I can more or less apply the same date if I need to. And then add the new count in there, or make sure that it's the correct count. So if if you had counted 5 and it's actually supposed to be 3, and they verified that it's supposed to be 3, then that's something that you can certainly go in and update, and then just click OK. So that way it applies the update, and then that way the discrepancy isn't there. The balance will still need to be reconciled, but it's not going to make any charges anywhere. So that'll be kind of the procedure.
What I listed that we are waiting on is, so the fiscal count is still showing it's going to be removed. The report, so we can reconcile our second count, is either not available or it's not accurate, so it's going to be updated. Some work needs to be done on the dashboard of this, on the Star Center, and you're going to get back to us on serialized items, how to work with those.
Yes, and Greg, if you don't mind sending that to me, that was a great list that I have written on Post-its on my desk right now. So if you could send that to me, that would be awesome.
Okay. And the concern is we were going to count tomorrow. So can all this be done before tomorrow?
I'll get with David because I believe most of the stuff we're going to do is all Star Center work. So I'll get with David and see what we can't put together and have ready for tomorrow. I would say that it would be the second step of the process is probably where the issue would come in. For now, you guys tomorrow can come in, open inventory, and then go to physical count due, and you can do your counts right now active in the system. If you guys have any issues with that, let me know or let David know so that we can get in there and fix it and look at it right away. But right now, currently, this should be in the system, and you should be able to come in here and do this.
We have another session tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so we should see where we're at that point.
Is that call with these same folks, or we have a different group of people that will be here?
It's the same.
Perfect. So are you guys going to try to start tomorrow morning, Greg? Is that when you're taking the count?
I thought if everything was, and we were told everything was ready to go, so we were going to try to do a small sample size, maybe like in the morning, just to see how, get everybody familiar, get them rolling with it, but I'm concerned that it doesn't look exactly ready.
I would say that's the second step of the process that isn't ready, as we don't have the review step ready yet, and I think that should be pretty straightforward because we're just going to use Star Centers, it seems like, to be able to leverage that for now. Reports can sometimes take a couple of days to get created. You don't have physical count due. Okay, I'll get with David to make sure that that's promoted for you guys. That's a pretty quick ad, so I'll just take a few minutes to get that in production for you, so that way you guys have that physical count due search.
Is that dashboard going to show a 180 and 360 separate, or is I see on the dashboard when you brought it up, I saw that it showed 90, but I didn't see the 180 and 360 list.
Yeah, so that's where these dashboards need to be updated quickly. So I have the search to update these with, but these are pulling in anything in the last 90 days, and that's not accurate for what you guys actually do. And so I think the initial development of this was not correct based on how you guys actually do your physical count. And so we went through and updated that physical count due query. I had some folks at SMS here kind of work with me, and we got that created and ready to go. And so I'll apply that same type of logic to this dashboard, so that way you guys can come in and have that. And then we'll have to check and see if your balances have been reconciled or not, because this dashboard should be accurate and can be used for the review process. So after you guys do your count, it will show up as not reconciled, and it will show up in this list, and that can be used for the warehouse techs to verify that all the counts that you guys performed are accurate. And so just based on what we have currently, I believe that you guys should be able to go in and start your counts, And then we should have the warehouse folks with the ability to review the next step. I think what we don't have currently is a way for you to then show, or for then that report to be sent back to you. And so I think there's just one step in the process that we need to talk through, and I'll get with David and see how we can get that taken care of. And William, I see your comment there, and I will get in and we'll add that search, as I believe it's most likely probably not available in the query, as you guys should be seeing that. Right here in the available queries. And so if you're not seeing it, I believe it probably didn't get upgraded or promoted. And so that this was something that we promoted just a couple of weeks ago, so it might have just got missed in the promotion package that went into production. And so I'll just quickly add that so you guys have that functionality. It should only take a few minutes. So tomorrow morning when you guys get in there, Greg, definitely you should have the ability to go in and do the counts, no problem.
Is tomorrow's session also about the inventory adjustments? Not necessarily through cycle count, but any adjustments to loss gain and all that other items?
Yes, because these folks also do that, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we can do that then, as, you know, it'll kind of be similar or somewhat of the same process. So yeah, we can do that same type of thing.
Okay.
I'll take a note that we added in. I know we can get to it today.
Okay, I'll send you an email of the pending items.
Yes, definitely. And if, you know, if for some reason anything happens and you guys have issues with that count tomorrow, I'd say what we can do is use a portion of the session to go through and to get you guys running with that. If that's okay with you guys, I think it would be useful for, say, potentially one of you guys to share your screen and potentially start that process and to see if you guys are running into any issues, kind of work through that together as a group. So if you guys run into any issues tomorrow morning, Greg, you can reach out to David and see if he can give you a hand at the time. But if for some reason you guys hit a stalemate and you're not able to make any progression, definitely we can take some time during this call that we have scheduled tomorrow and work through it live right with you guys.